Hey folks, welcome back to A Muggle's Perspective, the Harry Potter podcast, where I, Braden, your Muggle, share my perspectives, and your host, Rogge, leads me through the reading of Harry Potter for the first time ever. This is episode 3. We'll be going over chapters 5 and 6 of The Sorcerer's Stone. Rogge, how are you?
Hey Braden, I am doing pretty well. How are you?
I can't complain. Just got done going back over chapters 5 and 6. Like I said last time, work is still pretty slow, so I have plenty of time to read, and it's good to catch up again and hang out.
Yeah, so for the listeners out there, my understanding of your work is that you teach college students how to learn about farming. How far off am I?
Fairly far off. I don't teach college students. I'm in agriculture. We train companies, interns, and young employees on how to diagnose problems in crops. So that's all I'll say. It's not really any more exciting than that. But that being said, it's seasonal, and this time of year, being cold and rainy, there's not much for us to do. So.
Yeah, is it raining cats and dogs over in Lafayette? Because I'm sure it's going to be on the recording here in Warsaw.
Yes, it's pretty much been raining for like 2 days straight. Everyone's like freaking out that the river's going to flood. So if this podcast gets cut short and there's a lot of weird noises going on, I may be underwater.
How close are you to the river?
My place is not super close, but like, because I live on the south side, but the way they're talking, like, the river is going to bust in a lot of different places, so I don't know. I haven't been paying as much attention to it as maybe I should be, but... Will
XXX be safe?
That's really what everyone's worried about. It's been like 24 hours news coverage for XXX. It's kind of on the hill, so I think it'd be fine.
Right. Not on the levee.
Yeah.
Cool. So, Diagon Alley. What do you think? We jump in. Harry gets home, or Harry wakes up and thinks that what he just experienced with Hagrid was a dream.
Yeah, so they're still in that little hut thing that the Dursleys went out to sort of keep Harry from his inevitable future. And the owl comes in and lets Harry know that it wasn't a dream, and they go off into a whole nother world, I guess you would describe it then, Hagrid and Harry, to get ready for Hogwarts. Yeah,
we find out really early on. I mean, Hagrid just starts talking about things that could never exist in the Muggle world. He jumps into wizard money, and goblins and dragons are brought up here within a couple pages, and it should be a culture shock thing for Harry, I would think.
Yeah, it's a total reversal, going from living in a cupboard, 0 funds to his name, to all of a sudden we find out he's got a nice little stash in the I don't know, Gringotts?
Yeah, Gringotts.
Gringotts, the bank for wizards, apparently. So
I think it's what it says on the front. The bank for wizards.
Yeah. If you're a wizard, bank here. And it's guarded by tons of little goblins, apparently. And Hagrid is super serious to anyone out there who thinks that they could rob it. You're nuts. He makes that point more than once. So
yeah, he absolutely does. So what is kept at Gringotts? Fairly early on, Harry learns a little bit about wizard money. He has to pay the bird in a coin that he's not familiar with.
Yeah, the little bronze coins are called nuts with a K. Is that right?
Yeah, this is one of those things I've never heard an extremely definitive answer on. In the audiobooks, Jim Dale says Knut. I think he says Knut? Nut?
Really?
I think in my head I say nut, so we'll just go with that.
Yeah, that's how I read it. So there's like this whole different form of currency, and Harry has a lot of it that his parents left for him.
Yeah, so Harry, we find him in the in Gringotts in his vault, and he and Hagrid don't exactly get there in any sort of super traditional way. Let's kind of walk through this journey from the shack to getting to Gringotts. What's the first step they take?
Okay, so Harry finds out that Hagrid flew there, but Hagrid doesn't want to use magic because apparently he's going to get in trouble for using that too much. So they jump on the boat that the Dursleys and Harry took out to the hut, and he like taps on the side of it with his umbrella, which apparently creates some sort of motor for the boat, and they get to the harbor then rather quickly. And then they go into, I forget the name, it's basically like a little pub, and Harry says that he's not even sure if everyone around him can see what they're seeing.
Yeah, so that's the Leaky Cauldron.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I actually, there were a couple little talking points I wanted to go over on that journey, that trip. That's obviously not some big plot point scene getting from the shack to the Leaky Cauldron, but there's just some things I find interesting about that. The first and foremost being, you said yourself, they got in the boat that the Dursleys had taken to the shack. So how do the Dursleys get off of that island?
I don't know. I sort of hope they never do.
Well, I wish that I could tell you that was the case, but we'll find out next chapter that they made it safely back, so I don't exactly know how they did it.
Yeah, that I did wonder about that as Harry ends up back in their house later, but so yeah, they make it so the Dursleys are just sort of stranded there for the time being while they get to the Leaky Cauldron, where Harry kind of gets his first taste of being the hero, the famous guy that everyone can't believe it's him, and I would have to think is pretty overwhelming as a little boy to walk into a bar, and it's kind of like the scene out of every Western movie ever, where the guy that doesn't belong there walks in and the music stops, and everyone turns and looks, and then it's Harry Potter, who is the greatest of all time, and Voldemort couldn't kill him, and so everyone's got to meet him and shake his hand, and so yeah, that's kind of, we get to see Harry have to deal with his fame for the first time.
Was this reception what you expected? Was it any different?
Kind of what I expected. I assume, from the context we gained in past chapters that, everyone just wonders where he is and thinks the people that have seen him have freaked out, and so I figured that this is going to be something that is going to happen for the next couple of chapters, maybe, as he meets new characters. They're just going to be, wow, you're Harry Potter, the real Harry Potter. So I don't know if that's what it'll be like at Hogwarts, since I assume everyone there knows he's coming, but certainly everybody in the Leaky Cauldron's excited about it, and a lot of the other little kids who are going to Hogwarts are excited about it. So
yeah, there's one character that he meets in the Leaky Cauldron that seems a little bit more notable than the rest of them. What do you think about Professor Quirrell?
He's the twitchy, stumbly guy, right?
He is, yes.
Yeah, so, and I'm trying to get back to that section and kind of, because he had a run-in with, like, dark magic or something. Is that right?
They say he met vampires in the Black Forest. There was a nasty bit of trouble with a hag. Never been the same since.
Scared of the students, scared of his own subject. So yeah, I don't know what a hag is, and neither does Harry. Says vampires, hags. Harry said was swimming. So yeah, it's some sort of traumatic experience for this old man, and now he doesn't start most sentences without the first letter of the first word being used 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun that we get to see our first professor. Well, we had met Dumbledore and Cat Professor already, I guess, but
right.
This is the first time we see Harry meeting his professor, and from this point forward, we're really in Harry's head, so getting to see what he thinks about them.
Yeah, so that's he gets to meet Professor Quirrell, and he's still, excited as anyone else to meet him, and so that'll be an interesting relationship because Professor Quirrell still teaches there, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes, he does. Defense against the dark arts.
Right, so that'll be interesting moving forward. I assume we'll have some look-ins at what class is like with Professor Quirrell.
Yeah. Then just under that, actually, on page 71 still, we get the actual entrance into Diagon Alley. This is kind of an iconic scene. It says, Hagrid tapped the wall 3 times with the point of his umbrella. But the instructions that he mutters to himself are what really stand out to me. 3 up, 2 across. So that's a fairly famous Harry Potter quote is, you know, this entrance finally into the magical world. Harry's about to get there, and Hagrid goes 3 up to 3 up from what? 2 across? What direction even? This doesn't make any sense to me, Braden.
It did not make sense to me either, as this is the first time I've ever come across this.
What were you picturing? What are you picturing in your head during this scene?
I'm imagining Hagrid like 2 inches from this wall and like studying it really hard, like his eyes almost closed shut, and he's like feeling across the bricks and like counting super slowly, 1, 2, 3 up, 1, 2 across, just barely like under his breath to where Harry can barely hear it. And then he taps the wall, and this brick like starts shaking, and it says it wriggled in the middle. A small hole appeared. It grew wider and wider. A second later, they were facing an archway large enough even for Hagrid. So,
yeah, welcome to Diagon Alley. What do you think of Diagon Alley?
My first question was, what's Diagon? Why is it called that? Am I allowed to know that? Will I learn that later?
Will you learn that later?
Well, I'm hoping so, just out of mere curiosity, but I just didn't know if that's important. You know, what's in the name Diagon? But then, yeah, so we see Diagon Alley, and it says Harry wishes he had about 8 more eyes. So his head's just on a swivel, trying to look at everything at once. So I just sort of envision it as like this thriving little metropolis, where there's just people in cloaks walking around, and just weird looking creatures. You know, it talks about the bank being guarded by goblins, so I'm just assuming that it's like almost this will be my second Star Wars reference in this podcast, but I sort of assume I pictured again, I have not seen any of the movies either, so I pictured Star Wars here, where it's just like these strange looking people / creatures walking around like normal society, but they all look really weird.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a stark contrast to Harry's life before, which is filled, I think we sort of realize now, with emptiness, with loneliness. There's not a lot of people that engage in Harry's life up to this point, and now he's surrounded by, like you said, people in cloaks, people that want to shake his hand. He's meeting new kinds of beings, goblins. It's very different from the life he was living.
Yeah, so again, I feel like, I mean, we're inside Harry's head right now, and he's got to be super overwhelmed. And then he basically gets to go on a shopping spree getting ready for Hogwarts. And I'm a Parks and Rec fan, so I just sort of envisioned this part of the chapter as like treat yourself, where like magic wand, treat yourself, new cloak, treat yourself. That type of thing. So it was kind of cool though, just to like, you know, we're rooting for Harry. And so all of a sudden, you know, he's never had a real birthday gift. I assume he's never had a real Christmas gift. Like nothing's ever been about him. And now it's all about him. And I feel like he deserves that a little bit right now.
Yeah, he finds out that he has a vault full of money there at Gringotts. What struck you about Gringotts as far as he has to get in a cart driven by a goblin that goes underground, as Hagrid says, miles and miles underground to these high security vaults?
Yeah, so Gringotts is apparently its vaults are in the center of the earth, guarded by dragons, is what I'm gathering. Or at least what Hagrid sort of alludes to. and Hagrid almost gets sick on the way down there. It's sort of, I'm envisioning like a roller coaster in the dark,
Absolutely.
which I feel like this has got to be a somewhat comical scene in the movie. And is that close?
Well, we don't get a ton of them on the actual cart in the movie itself, but I can tell you that there is a roller coaster based on Gringotts actually at Universal Studios.
We have to go.
Dude, I am very in. I have never been on that one. Since I went with Eric and Ian to Universal Studios Harry Potter, it has doubled in size. That section of the park, they've added on more Harry Potter stuff. So say the word, I'm there.
This is at Universal?
Yes.
Okay. Well, podcast listeners, if you would like to donate to support a trip for us to go to... I'm kidding.
We have Venmo.
That would be cool, though. We should try to go there.
No, honestly, I would love it. We could get like a room that we can split with the four of us. And I mean, Hannah worked at Disney World. Am I off base here?
No, she worked at Universal, so she knows the place like the back of her hand.
Oh, we're in. Let's do this.
I assume they remember her, and it'll be like a Harry Potter moment when she comes back. Like, wait, is that Hannah?
They're all bending down. For those of you that don't know, Hannah is not a tall person, so it's not like Hagrid walking through the door. It's wait, I picture them just all squatting. Is that Hannah?
Yeah, so maybe that'll be a thing that happens in the future.
I legitimately am looking forward to it. That's awesome. Okay, we are at Gringotts. You said Hagrid is very clear. Do not rob the place. You'd have to be crazy. Now, do we go anywhere else in Gringotts besides Harry's safe?
We go to vault number 713. And that vault is completely empty, except for a grubby little package that Hagrid picks up and hides in his clothes. And he warns Harry not to ask about it.
All right, what do you think about this grubby little package?
Man, that's got to be like the center of these two chapters. I don't know how to apply any kind of context to it. It's for Dumbledore, correct?
Are you referring to maybe earlier when Hagrid is talking to the goblins directly and he says, Hogwarts business, Dumbledore trusted me, he sent me.
Yeah, so in my mind, it's like Dumbledore said, hey, go take Harry to get his stuff for Hogwarts, and while you're there, go to Vault 713 and pick up my grubby little package.
Yeah, so I like that you don't have any context. You have no guess as to what could be in that package?
What if it's a magic potion?
Okay, cool. Yeah, it absolutely could be a magic potion. Why not? What would this potion do?
Let's go with it is a magic potion. Man, honestly, I have no idea. What if it's a magic potion that Harry needs to later defeat Voldemort?
Okay, cool. I'll write it down. Magic potion. In the grubby little package.
Haven't done a big wild prediction in a little while, so
that's what the people want to hear. I get people texting me still that are like, oh man, I can't believe he said this, I can't believe he said that. So I'm not going to tell you if they are texting me because you were obviously so right or you were so wrong, but they do text me.
I'm going to go with that I'm obviously so wrong, but that's fine.
Ooh, that's not as fun though. Well, okay, they're both fun, you're right.
It's kind of fun. I mean, I assume most of my predictions are nothing short of ridiculous, so.
All the predictions are fun, yeah. So they leave Gringotts, and then Harry heads to Madame Malkin's robes for all occasions. And I think this is where we get to your beef of the week, if I'm not much mistaken.
Yeah, I don't have a real extensive beef of the week this week, but my beef is the character of Draco Malfoy. It took me about not even a full page to realize that I hate him.
Why do you hate Draco? He's just a boy. He's Harry's age. You can't hate an 11-year-old.
Yeah, but it's like we got rid of Dudley and we inserted Draco, Mm-hmm. And I assume, to keep the story going, you've got to have that character, I guess. But I won't say I hated him in Chapter 5. it grew to hate in chapter 6 with the comments on the train, and we can talk about that when we get there. But I mean, it helps too that we learn that pretty much right off the bat, Harry doesn't like him either. So I feel like I'm justified then when I read that.
Yeah, you and Harry definitely on the same page there. Draco basically talks about in this chapter, he sort of makes Harry feel dumb, keeps bringing up different things about the wizarding world, and we get a little bit about what Draco and his family, I don't know how to put this, they have a certain stance on magical blood and being a wizard. We see this on page 78. Where are your parents? Draco says, and Harry says they're dead. And then Draco, not sounding sorry at all, says, oh, sorry, but they were our kind, weren't they? So what does that tell you about who Draco is?
So Draco is the son of a witch and a wizard, I would assume. Like, he's got a long family line of people who have gone to Hogwarts.
He does.
But you learn later that there might be some sketchiness to that involving Voldemort, so also a reason not to like him. But
definitely. Yeah, you will, if you like hating Draco, you will definitely have some more chances here coming up in the next couple of chapters.
Yeah, I sort of assume so. Also because, and I feel like this is a good time to bring this up because we need to set the policy on this. This reading section looked up some of the characters. Like on Google, I would just type in like Draco Malfoy just to see what image pops up because I wanted to see if he looked like he sucked. And he does. So
how did the picture compare to what you had in your mind's eye?
Pretty similar, honestly. I kind of had the picture in my head that he had like really neatly slicked over hair and was like, just kind of looked like he'd never had to lift a finger in his life. And no offense to the actor who plays him in the Harry Potter series, but sort of they picked the right guy.
Yeah, that's what they were going for, I'm sure. That's too funny. But yeah, like you said, I'm sure when you brought up that you were Googling character names, many of our listeners cringed. Oh no, Braden, don't. You're going to see all the memes. Don't get spoiled.
Right. So, and I didn't see anything. So all that I have seen in terms of what's out there on Google is a picture of Draco Malfoy's mug. And then I also looked up the wand dealer.
I like that he's like a drug dealer. He opens up his cloak and you want to buy a wand? I got wands.
Yeah. Sort of creepy. Seemed like a really interesting character, and that was one that I could not picture in my head what this dude looked like, so I typed him in on Google. But as Rogge and I talked about before the show, I'm not going to do that anymore. One, because it could accidentally spoil some things for me, and two, it might be more fun later if we watch the movies, and then I can sort of react to what the actors look like that were chosen for these character roles. I apologize, listeners, for searching things on Google. I will not do that anymore.
We'll hold you to that. No more Google searches, Braden.
No more Harry Potter Google searches.
Yes, well, true. Great, so we are talking about Ollivander, and we go to Ollivander's shop. He says the wand chooses the wizard. What wands? What buying? What are your thoughts on all of this?
Yeah, this was a pretty interesting scene. He's super excited about finding the perfect wand for Harry, and he just keeps handing him wands from this, I'm imagining just like, it's almost like this library of wands that just goes to the ceiling.
Yeah.
And
he actually has one of those ladders that rolls across the shelves of wands.
Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. And so he's just throwing wands at Harry, and he keeps trying, which I feel like is kind of a funny scene in itself because Harry has no idea what to do with the wand, and he's just getting all of them thrown at him, so I assume he just sort of looks at it awkwardly and waves it around, like I would if you handed me a wand.
Is that a challenge? Are you challenging me to hand you a wand? I will.
Yeah. And I want it to be made of holly and phoenix feather.
Is that what you kind of thought wands were going to be like? I mean, gives a pretty specific description in terms of the inches, how bendy the wand is. They have a core. Had that even occurred to you that there'd be something inside the wand?
No, the detail that goes into the production of wands was surprising from this chapter. I likened it to like Major League Baseball players picking the right bat. Like they need the right weight and length and type of wood. Some of them have preferences on colors. So like, yeah, that's kind of what I was envisioning.
Some of them have cores with cork in them.
Yeah, some of them do, and some of those don't make it to the Hall of Fame. So,
well, hopefully Harry's wand makes it to the Wand Hall of Fame. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that
wasn't good.
Ugh.
My bad. Listeners, I apologize. So, you said he's kind of an interesting character. It was hard to place him or get a good picture of him. Does he come off as being, oh, obviously he's Harry's friend and I love him, or is he a little more nuanced than that?
No, I see him as like a really neutral character. Like I kind of picture him as he'll go with whoever helps him out. You know, it says that he also sold a wand to Voldemort, which, granted, I think that was before Voldemort went evil or whatever, but I don't know. He just seems kind of like a sketchy dude that's just in it for the best. He just likes being around the magic and doesn't really care who it is he's helping out.
Yeah, he says on page 85... I think we must expect great things from you, Mr. Potter. After all, he who must not be named did great things. Terrible, yes, but great.
Yeah, so that's where I get the idea that he's just in it for the magic. He thinks it's like that's what he lives for and doesn't really care how it's used. He's just excited by the idea of people wielding it, and he's kind of got a tie to the people who are using that magic, being the wand dealer.
Yeah, and so what is interesting about the wand that Harry ends up with?
It's made from, like I said, a holly and phoenix feather, which is, containing feathers from the same phoenix that belonged to Voldemort. A wand,
yeah.
like Voldemort's wand had the same feathers from the same phoenix, right?
Yes, yeah, that's how it worked. It's not that Voldemort owned the phoenix, but one phoenix gave 2 feathers and only 2, and one went into the wand that Voldemort ended up purchasing, and the other one went into the wand that Harry purchases here. So, were you expecting that kind of connection to jump off the page so quickly between Harry and his dad, Voldemort?
No, I really didn't think we'd learn how they were connected till... maybe not even in this book, I sort of assumed. But, so I didn't know what to do with that in light of my prediction that Voldemort is Harry's dad. Which I know he's not, I guess I know that he's not Harry's dad, i.e. that Voldemort killed Harry's parents, but I feel like there's got to be some sort... I guess my prediction was more that there's some sort of familial relationship there.
Okay, good. So already going back on your first prediction, I like it.
Yeah, I try not to stay too committed, you know.
That's what we want, is we want you to make very spongy and just soft predictions so that we can backpedal and they all end up being sort of right and sort of wrong. I think that's what everyone's really hoping for.
Yeah, so I don't think that he's Harry's biological daddy, but I don't know. There's some sort of relationship that only in the world of wizards and witches that they have.
Okay, cool. He's his wand father.
Yeah, his wizard daddy. Wand father. Yeah.
So we are just finishing up with the chapter. I wanted to ask you a bit more of an open-ended question. We get a different version of Harry. We get contemplative Harry. He is sort of down. He hangs out with Hagrid. They eat, I believe, a hamburger on page 86. And it says, he just had the best birthday of his life, and yet. And Harry says, everyone thinks I'm special, all these people, but I don't know anything about magic at all. How can they expect great things? We've seen this from Harry before, Braden. he's not sure he can live up to the hype.
Yeah, obviously struggles with confidence, which anyone would who grew up in the Dursleys' home that wasn't Dudley. So yeah, like we said in previous episodes, I feel like that's going to be a struggle for Harry. The whole series is like learning how to be a wizard and use his power with confidence. That's not like a bold prediction by any means, but it's definitely like one of the first character traits that is like really solidified with Harry is that I don't know if the right way to say it would be like, I guess just struggles with confidence.
Yeah, I think that's definitely pretty clear. I mean, like you said, why would he be confident in anything? He's only been beaten down his whole life, literally up till now. So,
right. So it's got to be pretty confusing that all of a sudden he's expected to be, I don't know if it's like a savior or one of the greatest wizards to ever come through Hogwarts. It's like a huge recruit for like a blue blood basketball program or something. It's like, you're going to take us to the championship. We're so excited for you to get here. And he has never played basketball before.
Well, that's a real thing, actually. That's Joel Embiid's story.
Yeah, and it's working out well for him, so
yeah.
I feel like Harry will be fine.
Absolutely. Now, we would be remiss if we went to the next chapter and didn't get to go into any of the other shops. We saw him in the robe shop, and he bought a wand, but Harry gets to have some fun. I mean, was there any other magic that stuck out to you? Oh, that's a fun little bit of magic I hadn't been anticipating. Have fun, Braden. You're reading a book about a little kid learning about magic.
I was interested in what makes the difference between types of metals that your cauldron is made out of. Mm-hmm. And that he kind of wanted... I don't remember what metal he kind of wanted, and then Hagrid was like, hey, your list says, was it copper or bronze? I'm sorry, okay. I can't remember. Yeah.
We are going to look here on pages 80 and 81, I do believe.
Yeah, one cauldron, pewter, I'm sorry, I was way off, so...
He wanted a solid gold cauldron, though.
Yeah, and he gets shut down by Hagrid. So
probably wise, I guess. And Harry, one of your favorite things is brought up again. What happens with the owls?
So that apparently, as a incoming wizard at Hogwarts, you get an animal, and why wouldn't you? You're a wizard, so you can either have a toad, an owl, and I'm looking for the third one.
A cat.
A cat. So obviously, for whatever reason, toads are looked down upon. Like the not cool kids get toads. Is kind of the vibe I'm getting from Hagrid. And Hagrid just sort of says, yeah, I don't like cats, so let's do an owl. So
which one would you want as an 11-year-old entering Hogwarts?
I would have gone with the owl too. Why would anyone want a toad ever? And then I don't really love cats, so I feel like an owl would be interesting. And if you're Harry, you've already seen that the owls are important in terms of bringing you mail and things like that. So, I mean, if you're playing the strategy game, let's get an owl.
Yeah, I mean, they're important for forming rafts and delivering you out of houses. So if you want to get picked up by a bunch of owls, better get an owl instead of a cat.
Right. So I think Harry made the wise choice. Hagrid kind of advised him in that, but I think that'll be important later. And it says it's like a Snow White owl, is that right? So yes. I feel like I've seen that in the commercials and stuff for Harry Potter.
Buy one now. Call today and get a second Harry Potter for free. Good. So we are on to Chapter 6, The Journey from Platform 9 3/4, which I think is a good place to start. Platform 9 3/4? What?
Yeah, I just sort of read over that because it was like, hey, it's a different universe of wizards and witches, so everything's weird, even where you take off from. So, yeah, that was strange. I didn't put a whole lot into it.
Yeah, absolutely. It is weird, and we see that pretty early on when the Dursleys look at his ticket. Like, are you serious? 9 3/4? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then so they take him, they actually agree to take him to the train station because they're going to London anyway.
And why are they going to London anyway?
That's a good question. I don't remember.
It's the best thing. It's on page 90. Find it.
Okay, I'm finding it.
Right in the middle.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. They're taking Dudley to the hospital, growled Uncle Vernon. Gotta have that ruddy tail removed before he goes to smelting. So, little reminder that Dudley's a pig now.
Just in case you forgot, Dudley's still a
Yeah.
pig. Don't worry. I wanted to know what you thought a little bit about the dynamic here between Harry and the Dursleys. Now, obviously, things are different now. Dudley is a pig. A giant has broken down their door. Harry can't just go back to Privet Drive and have things be the exact same, I would imagine. What do you think?
Yeah, it says that the month or so, I think that's how long it was, that, yeah, Harry's last month with the Dudleys wasn't fun. So they've basically just acted like he's not there, which is a little bit better than what it used to be, and just meaning that they used to act like he was a total nuisance, and now it's just like he's literally not there. But he doesn't have to sleep in the cupboard anymore. They're cool with him having a caged owl in the house. It's kind of like they have this quiet respect or fear of Harry now and what he's going to become. So they're sort of like hands off.
Do you think that dynamic is going to persist?
I don't feel like this is the last we'll see of the Dursleys. I don't know why. It just doesn't... I don't know. It kind of seems like they're written off too quickly. But... Well, and let's say Hogwarts, like all the parents are telling their kids as they're dropping them off at the train station, have a good term. So it's not a year-round thing. He's not going to live at Hogwarts year-round, right?
Right.
So he's got to come back home somewhere, which I don't know. I didn't understand why he had to go back to the Dursleys to begin with after the whole episode on the rock in the hut. Like, why couldn't he just go, like, stay with Hagrid in his shack until school started? Which I learned later, maybe because Hagrid is potentially an alcoholic. Maybe not the best place for young Harry to transition into, but anyways, so I feel like Harry's going to have a run-in with the Dursleys again, if nothing else, just because he's got to go somewhere once the term is over.
All right, there's your prediction. Harry will see the Dursleys again. I think what I'm hearing from you is there's no way we put all of this character investment into building up a dislike for and a relationship between the Dursleys and Harry, and then just drop them and not see them again. So that is fair. A fair prediction.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Cool. So they take him to London, and they take him to platform 9 3/4, and then I have in my notes here, dump Harry at station? Like, they're just going to leave. They literally drive away laughing. 9 3/4, what an idiot. Maybe he'll die here. Ha.
Yeah, they are the worst. And when I initially reading this, it was like, sweet, we're rid of the Dursleys. Good riddance. But the more I thought through it, it's like, that's going back to our previous talking point there. Like, yeah, we'll probably see them again. But I'm excited for Harry, and during that reading that part of the chapter, just that he can move on and actually go somewhere where people believe in him.
Well, he's certainly doing that. He pretty quickly is able to meet up with some people that are a little bit more his speed than the Dursleys, you might say.
Yeah, so it's like the first true friendship for Harry. This was cool. He meets the Weasley family, which this was interesting for me because coming into starting to read this book and not having seen any of the movies, correction, I had one of the first times I hung out with Harry, or with Rogge, as I said, I think in maybe the first podcast.
I'm honored.
Yeah, maybe I'll call you Harry from now on.
I am Harry.
I'm sorry. So one of the first times I hung out with Harry, he took me to like the 8th Harry Potter movie, and
I am Harry, Hairy. That's what I meant. Continue.
That is true. Listen, if there's any listeners out there that don't know Rogge or haven't seen him, his beard is immaculate. But so just the little bit I had seen from Harry taking me to that movie, I knew about Ron Weasley, that like he was sort of the sidekick for Harry. Him and Hermione, they're like the three main characters. But I didn't know that Ron came from a family of other redheaded, goofy-looking kids.
So that's the first thing that jumps out to you. Ron Weasley, friggin' redheaded and goofy-looking.
Kind of. That's sort of the description of him, I think. That he had like a long nose and he was tall and gangly. So I think that's the idea that J.K. Rowling's trying to put in my head, is that he's sort of goofy. But it's cool because Harry connects with Ron pretty quickly, because it seems like they have similar upbringings in that they're sort of the forgotten child. Like Ron gets all the hand-me-downs from his older brothers who have already gone through Hogwarts, and nothing of his is new. And you kind of learn that their family, having, I think he said he's got like he's one of 5 or has 5 siblings, and there's not a lot of money to go around. So the two sort of bond, I guess, over those things.
Yeah, Ron has 5 brothers and actually 1 sister as well, so he's one of 7. It's quite a family.
And he's kind of embarrassed, I think, from the conversation him and Harry have in the train, that his family couldn't really afford to get him, anything new for Hogwarts. And Harry kind of befriends him through all that and shares all the candy he can buy with all this money that he now has. And so it's like we get to learn about another character trait of Harry's, is that he like enjoys sharing. So
we sound like little kids. Like, he's a really good sharer. Oh my gosh. Yeah, good. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Platform 9, we're not quite done with Platform 9 3/4. We meet Weasleys, but they're able to help Harry get on. Could Harry have gotten on the train himself without their help?
No, he really struggled with the idea of just running into a barricade to be able to get to Hogwarts. He's like, after the Dursleys leave him at the train station, he's just looking around, totally lost. As the reader, you kind of feel bad for him, because Hagrid didn't exactly leave awesome instructions. Maybe it was on a bender when he wrote that note.
Okay, pause. What?
There's mention, I don't remember if it's 5 or 6, that is it Draco that says that Hagrid is a drunk, that he has a reputation as a drunk?
Okay. Well, we gotta find it now. We're not gonna just besmirch Hagrid's character with no evidence here.
Hey, okay. I mean, let me be very clear. It did not make my love for Hagrid waver. But we learned that maybe Hagrid struggles with the bottle.
Oh, okay. Page 78. Draco, yes, exactly. I heard he's some sort of savage. Lives in a hut on the school grounds, and every now and then he gets drunk, tries to do magic, and ends up setting fire to his bed. Yeah, so, number 1, is that what Draco sounds like in the movie? I mean, no. That's just me trying to sneer while I did a British accent, and it didn't come off as well as I wanted it to.
No, you did a great job, because I wanted you to stop.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no, it's a compliment. It really is, because I'm supposed to, as the reader, not enjoy Draco or what he says, and you killed it right there.
Thank you.
So that's...
It's at least a rumor about him.
At least a rumor. Maybe I'm taking it too far. It did, unfortunately, taint my view of Hagrid maybe a little. I have this picture in my head now of him drunkenly setting his bed on fire, which was comical. And I wondered, as I was reading, if that had anything to do with him being kicked out of Hogwarts in the past. Maybe not. I don't know.
In Chapter 4, does it say how old he was when he got kicked out of Hogwarts? I know how old he was. I'm trying to see if it says. It's like the last page of Chapter 4, right? Second to last page. I was at Hogwarts myself, but I got expelled, tell you the truth, in me 3rd year. So as a third year, Harry's a first year, he's 11. Hagrid would have been 13, turning 14, and he got kicked out for drinking.
I mean, it's happened before. Kids get started earlier and earlier these days.
Okay, North Montgomery, just rein it in here.
I'm proud of where I came from.
You were born and raised in the Boondocks.
I was, yeah. And I knew kids that started their experimentation with alcohol at that age. So, yeah, I mean, I don't feel like that's that crazy to... I don't want to put that on Hagrid. It hasn't been proven, but, I mean, it's not impossible.
Sure. So, next prediction, Hagrid was a drunkard at age 13. On it. So we've met Ron Weasley. We briefly touched on. Do you have anything about any of the other Weasleys?
Are they twin brothers?
Yes.
The two. Is it? It's Fred and George.
Fred and George.
So that was kind of a fun scene meeting them because they're kind of funny and they mess with Mrs. Weasley. And they, like, immediately upon seeing Harry, know that. Or start asking if it's Harry Potter. So I guess they have been told the story of Harry, and that's a big deal for them. And that's the first people Harry's age to recognize him. Is that right?
Yes. What does this say about Draco? That he stood next to Harry in a shop for 15 minutes or whatever, and had no... Harry even said, "My parents are dead," and Draco is just like, "Oh, well, that stinks." And these boys see him for like 2 seconds, pick up his trunk, and are like, "Oh, Harry Potter."
I feel like Draco is so consumed with himself that he just probably didn't even notice.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It definitely would be in character for Draco, from what we know of him so far.
Yeah.
Anything else about the Weasley family? Or about any of the other wizards Harry runs into on his way to the train? There's a kid with a box that has a hairy leg sticking out of it.
Yeah, that was interesting. I didn't know what to make of that and just sort of read over it. But is that something I should have put more focus into?
Oh, I just didn't know if this was revealing anything more. Are you getting excited about being around more wizards and more magic, or?
Yeah, I mean, I was looking forward to when we start meeting the characters that sort of make Harry Potter, I guess. Meaning that for me, from the little I know about it, it's Hermione and Ron, and I've heard of Neville. I don't know anything about him, but I've heard that name before, so that perked my ears a little bit when I read over that. And he's the kid who can't find his toad, right?
He is, yes, Neville Longbottom.
That's an unfortunate last name.
Well, I think it might be... Are you a Lord of the Rings guy? You ever read the Lord of the Rings books?
No, that's another one we may have to do a podcast on.
Oh, that's like half a chapter per episode. Those can get dense.
Yeah.
I am not... I've read them several times. I love them, but I'm not as well-versed in them as I am Harry Potter. But there is a Longbottom family. You don't meet them per se, but they are... The Longbottom leaf is a brand of tobacco, a brand of Hobbit tobacco that ends up spreading sort of around the larger Middle Earth sort of world. So I always sort of assumed that she'd taken that name from that reference. I don't know.
Huh. That's interesting. Yeah. I
don't know what that says, but there you go.
Nice little fact there.
Yeah.
I'm also, as I'm reading through page 95, I saw Percy's name, which I forgot to mention. Apparently he's important because... I'm looking for the word. He's like a prefect? Is that how you say it?
That is a prefect.
What? Yeah, so what is that? Can you tell me?
Yeah, I can tell you that. A prefect is sort of a captain. It's like an older kid at the school that has some more power. I mean, you'll find out more about what the dynamics are at Hogwarts in the next coming chapters, but suffice it to say that there are more kids than adults at this boarding school. So they put some kids in charge, scattered about here and there, that can sort of keep the other kids in line and might get information earlier and sort of disperse that out. It's just a position of honor. There's other things, very small mentions later in the books that imply that a prefect is a position at other British boarding schools, like that's a real thing, is that schools name some of their older students prefects. It's sort of like the equivalent of, I don't know, a hall monitor or being
like the president of student council or something.
Yeah, something like that, where you're a little more in with the school administration and establishment and have like a very small amount of power that you'll get too excited about, that kind of thing.
Okay, so from all that, what we learn about Ron's family is that he has some pretty big shoes to fill.
Yeah, there's been a few prefects, and you've got Fred and George, who, as Ron says, are very funny, but still get pretty good grades, so they're sort of popular and a little more social than the others, but I mean, that's still a reputation.
Yeah, so I feel like Ron is... I think that a reason that he and Harry will connect, not only because of like their upbringings, but just I feel like Ron probably struggles with confidence a little bit as well, just because he's got these expectations. And I don't know, the way I read it is that he's sort of like the goofy youngest brother that maybe doesn't have the same potential that his brothers do.
Well, it can be hard to see in an 11-year-old, you know, and that's probably, I would imagine, that's something intentional that J.K. Rowling's done to this point is, hey, maybe it's kind of universal that 11-year-olds are insecure, that they aren't really confident in who they are and who they're going to be. So it's sort of tough to send them off on their own, you know, on their own, quote unquote, here to a boarding school.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We see wizard candy. Any of that stick out to you? Wizard photos. It's all fun, some fun magic stuff.
Yeah, the photos was really cool. I was sort of imagining if like all of my old baseball and football cards did that. And like, I don't know, Chipper Jones was like looking at me and smiling and blowing a bubble with his gum. That'd be really neat. But what was interesting is that, you know how it talked about those beans that had like all these different flavors?
Yes.
So that's a real thing, right?
Yeah.
Like a Jelly Bean Company made those.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That is one of my other only interactions with Harry Potter, is that I think one time, I was a lot younger, I don't remember, my sister came home from school with a box of those. And there was like a booger flavored one and coffee and at that point I was like, what the heck? So that was kind of funny to read over that. At the time, I had no idea that was actually a part of the story. So that was interesting. But yeah, it's described as like Harry goes up to get Mars bars. He's going to buy as many as he could carry. And the woman selling them didn't have any. What she did have was Bertie Bott's Every Flavor Beans, Drooble's Best Blowing Gum, Chocolate Frogs, Pumpkin Pasties, Cauldron Cakes, Licorice Wands, and a number of other strange things Harry had never seen before. So it's like, yeah, this whole... It's like this parallel universe that Harry's entered into where he's somebody and he has money and people care about who he is, and candy is totally different. Yeah,
candy is almost complicated is what jumps out to me. It's very magic-y. Licorice wands, cauldron cakes, chocolate frogs that jump around, beans that might not even be good. Like, we're purposely going to give you bad ones, haha. It's very different from Muggle candies that are called sugar balls. It's balls of sugar. Frickin' eat them. Ah.
Yeah, I'm trying to imagine Dudley eating all these and some of them not being good, and then he starts throwing a fit again. So it's almost like a challenge, even when you're buying candy as a wizard.
Yeah. It would be too easy, right, if they were just chocolate bars or whatever, Reese's cups. It's got to make it a little more fun.
Yeah.
So we have a couple more little talking points here. We do see some other students on the train. We've talked a little bit about how we feel about Draco, but you said that our interaction here coming up with Draco is even more indicative of your feelings about him.
Yeah, he gives Harry a type of warning. I'm flipping to that page now.
108.
Yep. Draco introduces himself, and Ron kind of laughs under his breath, because it's a goofy name, right? Draco Malfoy. And Draco says, "Think my name's funny, do you? No need to ask who you are. My father told me all the Weasleys have red hair, freckles, and more children than they can afford. So, shots fired."
Yeah, that's a big sentence. We learn a lot about Draco there.
Yeah, he's just a spoiled little brat. And it's pretty easy to not like him immediately. And he turns back to Harry. He's going to throw a shot at him as well. "You'll soon find out some wizarding families are much better than others, Potter. You don't want to go making friends with the wrong sort. I can help you there." And he holds out his hand to shake Harry's, and this is a moment where I was like really proud of Harry that he does not shake Draco's hand, and tells him, "I think I can tell who the wrong sort are for myself, thanks." But this is like instantly, okay, now there's a divide between Draco and Harry. Now they're opponents, and I feel like that's going to be a part of the story for the rest of the series.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I mean, Draco certainly doesn't hold back, doesn't pull any punches. He says, "Unless you're a bit politer, you'll go the same way as your parents." Like, that is just the least sensitive thing. His parents are dead. He's simultaneously saying, making light of that fact and threatening to kill Harry. It's just strong language from an 11-year-old.
Which is really interesting too, when you think about, doesn't it mention earlier that Draco's parents had gone with Voldemort to do evil or be on his team or whatever, and then when Voldemort disappeared for a while, they kind of came back and said they were bewitched? Did I read that right?
Yes. So it actually comes a little bit later on page 110.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So on page 110, they are discussing this interaction with Draco, and Ron says, "They were some of the first to come back to our side after you-know-who disappeared. Said they'd been bewitched. My dad doesn't believe it." So they were supporters of you-know-who, of Voldemort, but they claimed, we were being forced to do that. We were under a spell.
Right, and then Ron continues with the sentence right after what you read, saying, and talking about what his dad said. He says Malfoy's father didn't need an excuse to go over to the dark side, so obviously already has a reputation. And I feel like that's got to be important moving forward with, I guess, Draco's past and how that connects to his feud with Harry. And Harry's connection with seemingly Draco's past, since Voldemort's part of that.
Yep, Harry and Voldemort. There's a little bit of connection that goes on between those two. We can agree. So we're down to the last couple talking points. We're getting close to Hogwarts, right? That's exciting. Harry and Ron change into their wizard robes.
Yeah, and they everyone gets off the bus, and Hagrid is herding cats, and they all get in line and get on their boats and take off across this pond, and it kind of describes Hogwarts as this mystical castle sitting up on the hill that you can see as you're going across this body of water. So I assume in my head this is an important or iconic scene in the movie, is all these boats going across the water.
It is. You get your first glimpse of the castle.
And we learn that Neville's toad is named Trevor.
We do. Trevor, yay. I actually have a bunch of, this is some behind the scenes for our listeners. Well, it's just a deep dive into me being a nerd. But when I was a senior in high school for my AP English class, after the AP test, we did what was called senior projects. So we could do whatever we wanted. We just had to learn something or research something. And my friend Eric learned how to throw a stone from a sling like David and Goliath. Or someone learned how to play the piano or do stained glass. And I went through 4 of the 7 Harry Potter books and highlighted prepositions and drew a map of the Hogwarts grounds. So there's a lot of prepositions on pages 110 or 111 and 112. I've got a lot of stuff highlighted. Tiny dark platform, a steep narrow path. The narrow path opened suddenly. A fleet of little boats. Right, I've got a bunch of highlighting here that I did very quickly in my senior year of high school, so that I could desperately try to. I mean, seriously, later in, I don't know, book 3, it describes the sun rising over the forest. I'm like, okay, so that means the forest is to the east of the castle because the sun is rising, and so like just trying to piece everything together.
That is the most roguey thing I've ever heard.
It's on Facebook. Like, you can find it. I took a picture of it. Or no, I took a picture of my rough draft and put it on Facebook.
Is it on our Facebook page?
No.
Is it on the Muggles Perspective page?
No.
It has to be.
Well, I don't want to give anything away to you yet. You haven't experienced the Hogwarts grounds.
I don't go to the Facebook page.
Then why do you care so much?
Because I want to give the listeners what they want.
Got to give the people what they want. Okay, Jalen Rose.
Exactly. Yeah. So, listeners, you know what you want. Demand that this picture be posted.
Speaking of, we actually just recently, sort of to wrap up here, I commissioned one of my students, the very talented Nate Knecht, and Nate drew for me, I don't know, I'm not an artist, he digitally drew my face as well as Braden's face and some other Harry Potter different animals and kind of locations and lots of things that won't mean anything to Braden, but it's awesome. I mean, I asked him to do it and maybe put scars on our heads, and it could be sort of our goofy little cover photo, but it's like really good and cool.
Seriously, it is absolutely incredible. Like Harry said, I don't understand most of it, but I showed it to my wife. Rogge sent me an email with it last night, and we like paused the Netflix show we were watching and just sat there and stared at it in awe for like at least 15 seconds. I don't know Nate. I've never met him. I hope to one day meet him after seeing his masterpiece. But like, seriously, if by chance you are a listener of this podcast and you own a company and you need a graphic designer, look no further than, how old is Nate?
He's like 13.
Look no further than 13-year-old Nate Knecht from Warsaw, Indiana.
He's a beast. Yeah, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if several of his classmates hear this. My wife took it upon herself today at our Harry Potter enrichment night at school to make an announcement to all the other little Harry Potter nerds. Hey guys, did you know Mr. Merriman has a podcast? Yeah, it's called A Muggle's Perspective. And like 6 of them go, oh my gosh, no way, really? And pulled out their phones and, oh, look at this review and look at that, huh? And I was like, great, awesome, just what I always wanted.
So any spike in subscribers or downloads should be taken with a grain of salt, as they are almost assuredly middle schoolers.
Yes, and if we get any positive reviews, they're probably sarcastic. Like, Mr. Merriman's way funnier on here than he is in class. Or, oh, I didn't know he could be nice to people. Or,
well, that'll be fun.
Yeah, it will be. Shout out Sarah Dilly and Chloe Boggs and the girls that were freaking out about it at the time.
Yeah, don't know them either, but
someday.
Yeah,
we'll have a Q&A here in a couple months, and we'll like 40 people will show up, and that'll be surprising to us, and it'll be great.
Well, hopefully we will get this just work of art that Nate has crafted with his own hands, posted. You said it's going to be like our cover photo, is that right?
I would think so. I mean, I can't think of a reason not to make it our photo on iTunes and maybe even our Facebook profile
I think
picture.
It has to be. And if I could take it a step further, if Nate could somehow put this onto a canvas, a huge canvas, so that it could be above either Rogge or I's mantle one day.
I do not have a mantle right now.
Well, this is the reason to get one.
Like over a fireplace?
Yeah.
I don't have a fireplace. I do live in a 107-year-old house, 8-year-old house, but no fireplace.
That's disappointing.
It is. It really is. Okay, we'll work on it. Maybe this will be the impetus Rachel needs to let me install a fireplace. Perfect.
Well, either way, check that picture out. Really cool. We're really thankful to Nate and for creating that for us. That was sort of something that I mentioned to Rogge, just kind of in a joking manner. Like, man, wouldn't that be hilarious if we had like a caricature of us with scars on our heads? And this kid literally brought it to life. So
he nailed it, honestly.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, so we've just got a couple mini segments left before we wrap up here. Crystal Ball, we need Braden to make a big prediction. You did, I'm so sorry, what predictions have you already made? We're going to see more of the Dursleys. We're not done with the Dursleys.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to ask you what you thought about some of the little characters we've met so far. Even just since Harry's been on the train, we have met Crabbe and Goyle and Draco. We've met Hermione and Neville. We got a name of that boy that had some kind of animal in a box. His name was Lee. What do you think about these side characters? Are these names you need to remember, or are we still getting to the meat of characters that are going to be important to us going forward?
I think that most of these characters will be important. Like I said, I think Draco is going to be somehow a nemesis to Harry. I think that, and this isn't a prediction, but like I know that Harry and Ron and Hermione become what I think to be, from the little I've seen, like good friends and sort of an alliance. I assume they end up in like maybe the same house, because I learned that's a thing. There's like 4 houses at Hogwarts, and Slytherin is the bad one.
Yeah, we didn't talk about that. Does that make sense to you, this whole house concept?
I sort of likened it to like mini fraternities and sororities type thing.
It's a little different in that it is mandatory. We'll find more out about it right here in the beginning of this next chapter, but as soon as you get to Hogwarts, you are put in a house. And
that's a big deal to these kids. Like, that's a big part of conversation between Draco and Harry and Ron and Harry. No one wants to be in Slytherin because that's where Voldemort came from. Mm-hmm. Gryffindor seems to be desirable. And then Ron mentions another one that he's like, well, I guess that wouldn't be so bad if I ended up there.
I think that's like Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw, yeah. And the fourth one, I don't remember the name of.
Hagrid mentions it when they are in Diagon Alley, page 80. What are Slytherin and Hufflepuff schoolhouses? Hagrid says there's 4. Everyone says Hufflepuff are a lot of duffers.
Yeah, so Hufflepuff, which is like, who wants to go be a part of that house anyways, just because of the name? I feel like those kids probably get made fun of. So for me, honestly, I'm most excited about these houses, or intrigued by these houses, because of the mention of the game Quidditch.
Quidditch!
And I want that game in its entirety to be explained to me very soon. I am super interested in this game.
So you think, you're confident that it is going to be explained to you?
I'm going to be that's going to be like an everlasting beef if it's not. The beef of all beefs, if you will.
They keep skirting around Quidditch and talking about, oh man, did you see the Quidditch the other day? That was great. But you never get to go, never get to see it. That'd be great.
Yeah, I'm going to get real annoyed if that's the case. So I would really, and if it is the case, then I'm going to ask for permission to search Google for rules and regulations of Quidditch.
Well, I'm not going to confirm or deny that is the case, but I will encourage you to hold on for a couple chapters and see how much of your interest is sated here going forward.
Okay. Also, a little side question. Is Quidditch a game that is played by Harry Potter fans? Like, I know that you fly around on a broomstick, but can you play, like, running around with a broomstick or something? Is that something people do?
I have played Quidditch.
Well, I just assumed you did, but, like, is Quidditch a big thing in the Harry Potter community? Like, people get together and out of kind of like a joke, but also because it's competitive, like, play Quidditch?
There is an international Quidditch league.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay.
Indianapolis has a team.
Oh my gosh.
And so that's kind of like in the big leagues. And I know that, I mean, I'm around.
Can you be paid to play? Like, is there professional Quidditch?
No, that I do not think so. It is not enough of a spectator sport. It is not mass appeal. And they don't have a TV deal. Okay. I don't think there's any money coming into the IQL, which is probably not what it's called.
Yeah. Not yet, anyway.
Not yet.
Right?
No, not yet.
Yeah. Okay.
Quidditch in the movies. Well, we'll talk about it later, but Quidditch is a thing that exists in my life and yours, and you will find out about it, maybe, or maybe you won't. Maybe they'll squirt around it, and we'll keep you high and dry.
Well, maybe in the future, as like a video segment on our Facebook thing, we could play some Quidditch or something.
To access that, you'd have to be a patron. You better be paying me $5 a month if you want to see me playing Quidditch.
Good point.
One-on-one
Good point.
Quidditch.
That's fair. Absolutely.
So, thank you guys for listening. Braden's going to take us through our exiting spiel here. We're going to do an outro that we've been working on. And, yeah, take it away, Braden.
Well, first of all, thank you all for listening to this. We really appreciate it. This is something that we mostly just did for fun and out of Rogge just being super disappointed that I didn't know anything about Harry Potter and wanting to educate me. The fact that you guys have reached out to us and given us positive feedback, we really appreciate it. A good way to, if you don't know us personally, or even if you do, a good way to let us know that you're enjoying it is to please subscribe. Give us a 5-star rating, review the show, and you can, as we kind of mentioned before, you can like us on Facebook. Rogge posts stuff, and there's room there for discussion or to make fun of me. You can also follow us on Instagram at Muggles Perspective. And next week, we will be covering chapters 7 and 8 of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Like Rogge mentions in most every episode now, if there are things that you guys want us to talk about, suggestions, comments, please feel free to reach out to us via the social media platforms we've mentioned. Like we said, we love hearing from you guys and getting feedback and knowing how we can improve and make the listening experience better. So, like I said, thank you guys, and we'll look forward to talking to you next week.
They just keep squirting. They keep skirting around.